Welcome to another hashtag Ask Jim. Bit colder in training week, so we both got our
chilly,
jackets.
yes, that's right, yes.
Cool, so we've got a great training group in as well. Bit light on today in the crowd, which is a good thing for people online, because generally we don't get to all the online questions. So if you've got a question online, please leave it, we'll try to get to it. But as always, we'll get to priorities with people here first as well. We've got some great prizes here for everyone. We've got the Monopoly, got the beers, got the hats, got everything as well. So please make sure you jump on and ask Jim a question as well. So who wants to kick it off tonight first with a question for Jim? All you need to do is come up to the microphone, you get a prize, it's easy as that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say...
We'll have to get you to the microphone just because we want to get your voice and your face.
Hi, my name's Phil. I'm from Gosford on the Central Coast. This is my first exposure to gyms, although I've got some friends who have been through the journey before. But I just want to thank you, Jim, for providing the great establishment here and the process too. It's been very interesting today and will be again tomorrow. And I've also been fascinated with your writing and the books that you've produced on a broad range of subjects, especially epigenetics.
Oh, right, okay.
I've got identical twins, so it's an area that comes up in conversation quite a bit. So I don't know if you could tell us something about what led you into academic writing.
I did a PhD back in the 70s, early 80s, trying to understand the reason for the rise and fall of civilizations, and came to the conclusion that most of what changes in society to do with things like wealth, population growth or decline, comes down to character of ordinary people, and that is basically a biological thing. And what we're doing is looking at the effects of mild food restriction, which has numerous health benefits, but also beneficial psychological effects. So we're developing treatments to understand how that works and to try and reproduce it. So for example, we tested about, just recently, about 1,000 different drugs which we thought might be useful, and identified 61 of them that has desirable epigenetic effects. They change. You understand epigenetics? If you look at a genome, it's like a thing that has a lot of taps. It spits out proteins. That's how genes work. Epigenetics basically does things to those taps. It typically turns them off with what's called a methyl group, or it can do other things too. So it's an environmental influence that changes the way your genes function, which has very major effects on character. So if you are happy, sad, hardworking, religious, whatever, a lot of that's got to do with the epigenetics. So we're trying to understand what that is and trying to reproduce those effects. And if we can make it work, which I'm confident we will, it will have tremendous benefit for human society. For example, you see an enormous rise in problems, psychological problems, mental illness lately, deaths of despair, like suicide, alcoholism, drug overdose. This is typical of an epigenetic change in the population. We think we can reverse that to a very large extent with the right kinds of understanding, the right kinds of treatments. So it's very exciting.
It's fascinating. I've heard it explained in layman's terms, identical twins, they've both been given the same keyboard, but it's how hard you hit the keys is epigenetics, and that's controlled by your hormone release or whatever it is. So it's very interesting.
Genetics, if you've got identical twins, they're genetically the same by definition, but you could have an influence where one of them actually has different friends, for example, has a different lifestyle. How old are your twins?
21.
21, okay. So
they've started to
diverge a bit. Just you do something, like you get a different friends. One friend is more of a party goer, the other goes with friends who are more, say, sober-minded or religious, or something like that.
Yeah, that's the environmental bit coming in.
Their environment will change the way they do. So they'll always be quite similar, but the epigenetics can be quite different.
Anyway, it's fascinating. Thank you for your time.
Good question. Thanks for that.
Good question.
Well. That's how easy it is. And you'll get a prize afterwards as well. So simple as that, guys. Got a question for Jim? Guys, feel free to come up and ask him at the microphone here.
We're very concerned with gyms about questions of mental health. It's one of our number one.
Well, I'll give you a good example. We had a franchisee called Craig. Craig Smith emailed you about having that thing, the shirt, his mental health charity on his shirt. And he told me, because I interviewed him last week, he reckons 20 people in a week have opened up to him because of that stuff that he had on his shirt about mental health awareness and stuff like that, which is quite impressive from one of our franchisees up in Mildura. So, yeah, it's a big impact.
Yeah. It's a very big concern. We deal with heavy machinery, we deal with chainsaws, we deal with mower blades, which has been very fast. we work at heights, we do all kinds of dangerous stuff. But I ask people, what do you think the number one cause of death amongst our franchisees is? Suicide. Overwhelmingly more than everything else put together. In the whole history of Jim's Group, we've had 2 people die on the job. One of them a chainsaw incident, one of them because of a trailer in Canada. But suicides are incredibly, tragically common. So a lot of what we do in gyms is actually with the coaching and with the mental health services and all these sort of things and meetings and so much of what we do and all of our charity work is designed for mental health because it's such an issue. The research that I've got actually has the potential to make really big changes in that.
That's a good point. Got a question for Jim, guys. Feel free to come up and ask him anything you like. It's a good opportunity to ask him anything you like. You get a prize at the end. It's worth your time doing it. If you want the sleeve of beers, anything like that, just come up and ask him. Don't put your hand up, just go up and ask him.
Let's come out, both of you. That's
it's all good. We've got a couple online too.
Hi, Jim. I was actually going to ask you about the epigenetics, but we've done that now. So one thing that I've learned just from being here today is that you've created like an ecosystem. And I just wondered if that was accidental on purpose, because it seems like each new branch kind of supports, you know, like the other. And it's quite a nice, very well-rounded community. Like there's sort of like someone to do everything that you kind of need. And I just wondered, yeah, how accidental on purpose was that? Yeah.
Well, it wasn't part of the original plan. What I originally thought mowing only, when somebody the idea of cleaning came up, I didn't even think the brand would work. I tried it on a different, using a thing called Sunlight as a separate brand, because I thought a woman doesn't want to carry this mowing image with her. That's just unreasonable. And it didn't work though. I actually ended up giving their money back, the couple of guys we tried. And then somebody said, I want to try Jim's cleaning. And my original reaction to that was, no, it won't work at all, because it's a mowing brand. But we gave it a try. Actually, they put the resource in to do it, and it worked. So that's kind of like how it happened. And then people come up with other divisions. What we find is that it's extremely useful because you have success in using one service and you're more use another. My daughter and her partner have just started, last October they started Jim's Removals. Okay, now I actually went through and checked a whole lot of jobs they got and looked at the addresses, and every single job that I saw they received, the client had used at least one other Jim's service. So every time that you use one service and have a good experience, you're more likely to use 40 other different services. So it's actually, and also the other thing too is, we've noticed this, you put a dog wash trailer going down the street, that actually does help to get more dog wash leads in. But guess what? It also helps to get mowing and cleaning leads and other kinds of leads. We've seen the effect. So every division supports every other division. And I think alongside better customer service, one of the reasons we find it so easy to find leads in recent years compared with in the early days. So it has worked very well. And actually, in fact, they're very similar. Mowing and cleaning and test and tag and dog wash and pest control, they sound like they're very different, but in business terms, they're very, very similar times of operation. Very similar customer service, very similar software that drives them. So it's been a huge success. It really has.
It's just been so interesting today, just seeing like, I obviously didn't look into it enough because I didn't realise how many divisions there were, and just sitting in the room and people kind of saying, I was like, what? How? Like, you know, but actually it all really works.
It's our second most visited webpage.
Like for each other.
So Gyms.net Services is our second most visited webpage. So people know gyms, but they don't know exactly all the time what we do with the different divisions. So they always look at that webpage to sort of see, and I didn't know you did that, and away you go.
Really
People come up with ideas like laundry, for example. Are you laundry?
Laundry.
Okay.
Yes.
Now laundry is actually bought up by one of our cleaning franchisors, Bill, who was here today. Actually, I saw him.
It was his wife's idea, and I better say that because I always get a text message saying.
Yeah, it was Wi-Fi. He came up with the idea of Jim's Laundry. To be honest, the thought never even crossed my mind before he did it. You know, within 3 years we had like 120 franchisees, which is indication there's a demand out there, but it's also great leadership too. So one of our Mowing franchisees last year came up with doing driving school. That was
Lance,
Lance. Mowing franchisee, good earner, great customer service record. Doesn't have background in that particular industry, but nor does Bill with cleaning, with laundry either. But good leadership is important. So I don't know what the limit is. We don't do site-based. It's all service-based.
There's no Jim's Burgers or nothing like that. We get that one a bit, but
No.
Jim's.
Jim's
Is there?
Jim's.
Oh, right. We always get Jim's. That's probably the most number one. Site-based Jim's.
There is a Jim's Gym. I don't know if any of you used it, but got some good stuff there. The squash
That's the
court's
legit
really
one.
good.
Yeah, that's the legit one. You had a question up there? Cool, go for it.
Roy, I'm going to jump shamelessly into a money question. What percentage or what portion would you say of franchisees grow to like maybe $500,000, $1 million, and what sort of staff numbers are they using for that? And sorry to add in a last one, like how quickly are they reaching these points?
I find probably Joel would have a better idea because he does the interviews. Whenever I come across somebody who's doing well, I usually ask him.
Yeah, but
Something over $500,000 a year isn't that unusual.
it's more than $1 million, $2 million sort of the magic
Yes.
number. A lot of people are doing the 500, 600, 700.
Okay.
Because even you're doing something like the guy Frank who does my mobile tyres. His actual turnover is above that, and his profit wouldn't be too much below because he's just very good at what he does. He's looking at getting a second truck. I've got a electric car which cost me almost nothing to run. Nothing to run in terms of it runs on sunlight, which is pretty simple and doesn't have much repairs, but it always seems to be blowing tyres. So I have an occasion to give a fair bit of money to Frank every now and then.
Well, we don't know, because we don't ask them exactly how much they earn, but I interview them and they tell me. So Gerald's a good one. So Gerald hit $2 million revenue in Jim's Mowing, and he was after around, I think, 3 years with Jim's Mowing or 4 years. Absolute, I think he's got 6 or 7 staff, but he's a really good go-getter. He's got a lot of landscaping and crews and stuff. He's really efficient. A lot of people I've interviewed do $1 million revenue. They'll have multiple staff as well. So it all depends on your lifestyle. I interviewed a guy today, 6 weeks in with Jim's, Mowing guy. He came from a rival franchise we had a bad experience with. They wouldn't refund his $4,000. Came to us. In his 6 week, he told me literally in the podcast, his name's Warren in Queensland, 8,700 in his 6 week with one worker. And he's doing more landscaping type jobs because he's got that background and stuff. But that's quite amazing in his 6 weeks. So yeah, it depends how hard you want to work and go. But if you're a good operator, you can achieve that level of income after 3 or 4 years.
400,000 or 500,000 isn't that unusual.
No, it's not.
When you get past $1 million, the actual biggest franchises in Jim's group, even though the individual workers in places like trees and who make the most money would be trees, antennas, those kinds of divisions. Skip bins, obviously.
Skip bins, sure, yeah.
Individual workers tend to make the most, but the actual biggest businesses tend to be in the ones like mowing and cleaning, because you get workers. Like there's a lady called Poppy who does my cleaning at one of my places, at my farm. She was in business for 12 months. She already had 12 workers. But she's a Filipina, so she got people from her own community, which is the hardest part. It's not usually finding enough work that's the issue. It's usually having the ability to control your workforce, to recruit and keep good workers is the key. Just as is the key to us. What's our growth? It's not usually work, it's franchisees. So if you want to grow a major business, your biggest challenge is usually finding and keeping good workers.
We had hazmat guy Sean, $250K in his first year revenue in hazmat, which I thought was really good. And they've got $1 million franchisee revenue in hazmat as well after 2 or 3 years. So you got successful people who are doing this in all different divisions. It doesn't really matter on the service too much. It's just they're spread out across the thing. But in terms of time frame, most of the people, obviously your first year's your hardest thing. 250, 300-ish. I said if you get to that, you're doing extremely well in your first year. And then from there you can build upon that. That's from all the interviews we generally do.
We like to encourage people to do that, actually. It's not for everybody, but those who have got that hunger to grow, there's all kinds of models. There's people around who can teach. There's a lot of great videos on this subject, how you do it.
The great thing about it is they're all online for you guys, so you can get access to them and watch them in full. The actual interview with Warren I did today, he still listens to a lot of the ones with Dan and stuff from back in the day and how he built his business. So it's all there for you. It's just a matter
if you
of
have a look at online to the videos, it's on the franchisee website. You just go and look at videos. It's got a lot of titles like social media, like pay for work guarantee, like upselling. There's a whole lot of different titles in there, so you can go and have a look in there, and you can pick people. I think one of the best things you can do is to, if you're ambitious, is to keep on learning. Absolutely. Which means coming to meetings, talking to your franchisor, watching videos, research. I spend a lot of time reading and listening to talking books. I'm an avid reader. I would probably on average listen to or read at least 2 books a week, plus articles and stuff as well. And whenever I'm doing something, like if I'm running or if I'm driving in the car by myself, I'll always be having something and listening to something. I'm learning something all the time.
A lot of the franchisees and you always listen to industry podcasts like pool podcasts or lawn care podcasts or business podcasts as well when they're doing stuff. A lot of them will listen to an episode a day. So yeah, it's quite common to do that. Yeah. Which division are you going to be joining? Which one?
I'm going to do window and pressure washing.
Window and pressure.
Yeah.
I've got a good one for you. A guy called Jacob. Jacob was a plumber.
Okay.
And you think, why would you leave plumbing to do window and pressure cleaning? He does really, really well. So Jacob's around 27. I've interviewed him. He's a really good one. He's doing some amazing figures. So Jacob in window and pressure cleaning, get onto him. Yeah. Really good operator.
Thank you.
Good question. Thanks for that one. Guys, you got a question? Feel free to come up and ask Jim. Go for it. Run through them. Anything you like.
G'day, Jim. Glenn. I'm starting up in Townsville very soon, hopefully. Just a question with the mowing side of things. The franchisees that I spent a day with, Thomas, lovely bloke, he said that he came down here and he upskilled his training. So he's come down and he's done, work health and safety training so he can get involved with working at service stations. Is that an ongoing sort of a training facility?
I don't know what he would have done. Maybe some tape course or something like that.
I don't know. I'm fairly certain he told me he flew back down here and he did training. So I guess it's a service that they need to do for the job safety and analysts that they have to do prior to the working at the service stations. Is that?
It's not a course we run.
Okay.
We run the generic divisional training. For mowing, that's 3 days.
Yep.
Which is this week will be the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yep.
So we do that.
We've done like a business seminar and stuff. It might have been a long time ago, that might have been, but not something I can remember us doing recently.
It's only been with, I think, 3 years. Perhaps.
Yeah, we definitely haven't done it. Definitely haven't done it. Yeah, we've done a business seminar where we had once a year we had all the franchisees speak and do like a building your business seminar.
Yep.
We had people do the horticultural stuff with Kangan and things like that.
I misunderstood him. I was just kind of curious about the risk assessments that you have to apply for a position like that.
Okay. Yeah,
we usually find the more trained people do, the better they do. We know people who've done hort courses in mowing, for example, they tend to make significantly more money than those who don't.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you can get yourself what do they do typically? Cert 2, Cert 3?
Cert 2 and Cert 3, 4, yeah.
Yeah, we've done quite a few people through that, and it's very obvious because they can upsell very effectively. They know what to do in the garden, so they suggest it to a client, and very good money in that sort of stuff, and they come across as an expert, which of course they are.
Or we have existing franchisees who might have done the training online or want to come back and do their training again in 2 years' time. They do that quite often as well.
Yep.
So that's another thing. But we haven't done that one down here. Yeah.
That's right. I'll reach out with him and touch base.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he says, yeah.
Yeah.
No, thanks for that one. We've never had that one before, Jim. In 6 years of doing this, we've never had that one before. That's a new one.
Glad to make things
No, that's a good one. Appreciate it. Go for it. Come up and ask whatever you like.
Hey, Jim, thank you for having us all this week. Today was really, really illuminating. About 20 years ago, obviously, you had the mowing business. Now you've got a lot more services. Putting your CEO hat on, where are the strategic growth areas that you see for the Jim's group and, say, in the next 5 to 10 years?
As a group, the thing we're focused most on is improving our processes and software. What we're doing with Jimbo is mind-bogglingly high potential in terms of improving efficiency. Things like I was talking about this morning, where you can have a client book jobs into your diary so you don't have to call them back, so your conversion rate increases, and other tools that will help you to be more efficient in your work, and ways of getting better customer service. As a group, that is the main thing we're focusing on: how to improve what we do, how to improve the service, how to improve the systems. As far as other divisions is concerned, it's very hit and miss in a sense of I'm a very easy person to contact. Anybody who has got an idea for a new division can speak to me directly. We exchange a few emails. I was speaking to a guy this afternoon about the possibility of going into the UK. He's an Australian who's actually currently in Cornwall. So, and then we had a bit of discussion on Zoom about how we could do that and what's required and what the potential costs and drawbacks are, which is quite challenging. So the people come to me all the time with an idea for a new division, and we just discuss it. We put them through training, let them learn the system, and then if all goes well, we start up a new division.
Okay. So the key is, I suppose, people coming to you with a vision of where things could go.
We don't normally come up with ideas for divisions ourselves. In fact, we haven't done that for a long, long time. Mostly we wait for somebody, the right person, to come to us. And very often it's somebody who's already a franchisee or a franchisor in the system. And then we look at them and say, okay, you ask the basic questions: are they making good money? Above average income. You know, you need to talk about a person who's making, several $100,000 a year, great customer service, and ideally some form of involvement in training or coaching or something like that. And we find people like that tend to be very good franchisors, and they can start a new division that can go anywhere. Paul Comerford came to me, I don't know if anybody from building inspections here, came to me a decade or so ago.
2011, yeah.
11 years ago, with the idea of building inspections. We didn't have it, but he took it on. We've now got like
180 or something.
180,
it's massive,
yeah. It's by far the biggest company of its kind in the country. So if the Jim system is good, but Paul Comerford's also very good at what he does. And it's still growing.
We always get ideas like, we get them from TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, all this sort of stuff every day for the new divisions. They come in, it's pretty easy to go into you. We just forward them to you and you just make them ask a few questions, and on Zoom and away you go.
Actually, it's funny how things spread around. I was talking to someone, I don't know if you're in the audience now, about somebody saw a competitor and there was Jim's war crimes on the thing with a guy with a that was you, yeah. AK-47. I haven't seen that one, but I thought that's a brilliant idea of how the brand itself, even your competitors are spreading the brand.
Which is what pushed me towards it. Like, what do I do? Who do I go with? And I saw that and I'm like, that's me. I'm going to Jim. They are that well known. They make a parody. The Jim Walcott's like, Jim, what else?
Yeah, there's a lot of memes getting around. It's good, actually. We like it. We've actually got a meme generator on our website, so you get our website, actually type in your own and make your own.
We did a contest.
We did do a contest. We should do it again. Yeah.
One national conference, come up with the best thing, and they had these people. The group of franchises came up with this really great thing. It was Jim's Hitmen. And they had these white polos with a little black gun on it.
We've done a national comp. I think it was Jim's Cobloaf delivery, and we flew the guys here from WA to meet you. So we've done it. We should do it again, actually. Yeah, we should do it We should do it again.
We have a lot of fun actually doing these things. It is really good.
People would think the meme, because they would think, we get occasionally get someone like, say they're doing a meme of you on a shirt or something. You should shut them down and charge them and all that. It's like, no, he's exactly right.
Yeah, we commonly get this one to Jim's Brazilians. Though I'm always getting told that one.
The old wicked camper van, yeah.
Everybody knows it's a joke. They're driving around spreading our brand. Why would I care?
There's the old wicked, those wicked campers where they have all the silly things on the side. The wicked, I was one of them. So yeah, we always used to get it. We always used to get someone from the public, on our behalf. You should sue them and blah blah blah. But very good. A lot of memes getting around. It's good. Go for it.
Hello, man. Been talking about. I bought a Jim's Mowing, all right. And I've been talking with some of my mates, and everyone is concerned that people have is that what's the percentage of people that fail? But I want to ask you, what's the top quality of people that succeed?
Well,
what makes people succeed?
Okay, your single biggest thing is somebody who is self-critical, who looks at what they do and says, how can I do it better? That's the one question I've asked myself for the past half century since I started pushing lawnmowers around as a student. How can I improve? The people who tend not to do well are the ones that will say, no matter anything goes wrong, it's not my fault. If I'm getting complaints, it's because the clients are unreasonable, the system is unreasonable. Whereas somebody who's a great operator, they can even though they get great feedback, they're saying, how can I get better? What can I do that will delight clients more? How can I cut my costs? How can I improve my efficiency? That constant daily question. If you've got that sort of idea and you have a genuine passion for customer service, and I mean an emotional one, not rational, if I give better service I'll make more money, but emotional, it's not in my DNA to let a client down. Those are the things that really tend to amount for. And it's quite astonishing how much education you have, how much money you have, how good looking you are, how old you are. None of those things seem to make any difference. Young, early 20s, single, doubtful. But apart from that, we've got people succeed at all ages with all levels of education. people from amazing background, lawyers and doctors and all kinds of people come into this. There's people that don't even complete high school, like Dan Cale. So it's the attitude that counts, it's character.
What about the rate of failure was the other question.
The rate of failure, look, what I would see as a failure is in some sense a franchisee who leaves us. We lose about 12% in the first year. Now they're not all failures though. Some people leave for all kinds of different reasons. And the other way I would rate it is somebody who reports poor income. Because that's obviously a sign we're not doing something well. So that's about 9% on average across divisions. Some divisions like Mowing is a lot less than that, some it's a bit higher. So those are the two, what I call failures. But, somebody might say they're making a poor income, but they're still staying with it. One of the things that's striking is that people tend to change jobs a lot. The average person changes jobs in Australia about every 5 years. So we're actually fairly similar to that, is really in terms of how long franchisees last for. I think it's a pity actually. People are doing something so well and they try something different. You're in a good place. Why not stay there? That's what I've done. Fundamentally, I've been doing the same thing to make a living since I was like 18. So.
What motivates you the most through your career? Let's say on a rainy day to go up, and what motivates you more?
My research foundation has always been a very big driver. I have this mission. I did this PhD back in the 70s. I had ideas that I thought could change society dramatically for the better. I couldn't get any way to do it as an academic, which is what I intended. So I decided the only way to do this was to be able to have enough revenue to be able to start a research institute. And something like 90% of my income actually goes towards that. I draw from the business. So it's spent on that. That's a big driver. So I've always ambitious in that sense, not for money, but for that kind of thing. But other drivers, franchisee success, that's a big driver for me. I want my franchisees to be successful. So it's you've got to have a purpose in life, I believe.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm most interested in is happiness. What makes people happy? And people have very wrong ideas about happiness. Typically, if you ask a person what would make you happy, well, if I had more money and I could get a better car and a nicer house and I could go on nicer holidays and I could wear better clothes and I could have more, say, jewellery if it were. It doesn't actually it has remarkably little effect at all, because whatever you do, it's like somebody who wins the lottery. You think they're happy for life? No, they're not. After 12 months, they're basically back where they started from. The level of happiness goes up, boom, it's great, and down again. So people adjust to it.
I was changing something else.
But if you look at what makes people happy in life, there's a very strong science. It's one of the subjects I'm most interested in. Sense of purpose and meaning. Faith walk, especially in the faith community, is a really big plus. Being married, marriage and family is a very big plus. Community, sense of friendships, being part of something. Exercise is very big. Staying away from the garbage, the negative stuff in life, like excessive social media and porn and drugs and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And there's a lot of science behind this, how this works. People are very misguided as to what it is. And even though I'm fairly well off, I do not think money for its own sake is really a tremendous goal for life. I had a close friend whose brother committed suicide. This guy's a lot richer than I am, but it didn't make him happy. He just killed himself. It was a screwed up family life. Just life wasn't worth living for him. What's the point of all the money?
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Yeah, good question. Got a question, guys? Feel free to come up and ask Jim, please. And one real quickly online from Justin's going, can I still buy the Jim's Mowing beer? Yes, you can. It's in Dan Murphy's in Sydney stores, and you can get it online. Just search Bondi Brewing. Yep.
Hi, the lawn maker.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Kathy. I've come here to support my husband and found out a lot about Jim's. I want to thank you for your energy. But my question is, can you give me an insight into a day in the life of Jim? How do you start your day? Because it's now late. You've been up doing talks and supporting us the whole day.
Okay, well, I usually start off with emails. I'll look at what's going on overnight. And I do things like I check all the poor surveys and look at what's happened to them and work out whether they should be rated. I also delete surveys. So I have these roles that go through. So that starts in the beginning, the first thing I do in the morning, last thing I do at night. I get exercise. I run half an hour on the treadmill. I do weightlifting. So that keeps me fit. And I end up with a cold shower. I'm a great believer in that kind of lifestyle. I do a lot of talks. I do podcasts. I do interviews. I talk to prospective franchisors. I get inquiries from franchisees about questions or franchisors about what to do. I have decisions to be made internally. I walk around the office. I check the call centre just about every day to see how they're going, whether their numbers are good, are they taking the calls. I just talk to people in different divisions, what's going on, what's happening, how can we help, how can we improve, what's happening here. Just sort of a thing like that. Spend a bit of time with this guy.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Unfortunately, yes.
We've actually filmed the day in the life, so if you go to YouTube and type in day in the life of Jim Penman, you can actually watch it in full. It's literally what he's saying. So it's around 45 minutes, but it gives you a good insight. And I reckon it's a good insight for franchisees, especially in the emails and how Jim deals with complaints. We literally film it. So if there's any other conjecture about complaints and dealing with emails and stuff, we'll literally show Jim doing it at your home in your office.
Yeah, I lead a very different life from what most CEOs are supposed to do.
There's no glamour in it, not really.
No. I spend a lot of time in direct contact with the grassroots of the company, which is you. I'd like to know what's going on.
That definitely comes across today when you were talking.
Were you surprised he gave the mobile number on the board?
No,
okay.
not at all. I'm a big believer in, be available.
That's good.
Be available because, just watching today, I was blown away by the energy, but also what I wanted to note was your stability in your passion and your brand and how you go out to everybody. I can see it's your baby. You love it and it comes across. It definitely comes across, and Jim's brand is amazing out there in the real world.
You know, one of the hardest things, Kathy, is to get people convinced that I actually am contactable. I often get people approach me and say, I know you're so busy, I didn't want to trouble you. And it's often so useful that they did.
I did. I emailed you today while I was in training. I appreciate you, and I am grateful for this opportunity, and I just want to say thank you for your energy.
That's very nice.
Well, I'm glad you're here. You know, we have a very sneaky policy in gyms. We actually allow and encourage partners to come in for free. Now, you might think we're altruists, but you'd be surprised how often, down the track of it, the partner decides to buy a franchise. So we're pretty clever. I'm not saying you will, but it's
got me talking to Sue tomorrow about...
Oh, yes, of course, yes. You did ask me about life coaching, yes, so I introduced you. And,
you did. That's why I was messaging you in our training. I know it's naughty, but I was like, I'm gonna actually do that because she said to, so I'm doing it.
And how long did it take me to get back to you?
Seconds. That was very quick.
I must have been on the computer at the time, yeah. But I do that sort of stuff, and that's interesting because
I spoke with Sue and we're catching up tomorrow. So.
it's a very exciting new division. It's not growing fast, but as I said to Sue in the first place, this is not the one where you want to put on 10 people. You've got to get somebody on, make sure they're filled up, work out the systems. We're not in a hurry. I know we say 30 in 3 years, but honestly, in this particular case, take it slow, do it steady. But it's a brilliant division, life coaching. It really is, because I know we've had some phenomenal success.
We have. James I know really well. He helps out the franchisors and franchisees a lot as well. So does Sue. Like John Glover, who did the training today, he'd gone through that program and all that sort of stuff, and it changed him. So
yes,
yeah, they've done well.
I've been a life coach for a while, but I have never found the framework that I wanted to actually do it. And talking to Sue, I understand she's doing
Sue was actually part of an American system. I think I told you this morning. It's part of an American system where they had this elaborate manual and stuff. But the cost, when she showed it to me, I said, look, it looks good, but it's too expensive. So what she had to do, and this was a long time ago, we spoke about it first, you have to sit down and rewrite the manual so that basically we own, or the division owns the IP. So there's not that massive cost going away. So you have to do this thing where it's a 6 months course, and it's worked out strikingly well. It's very slow, but it's a really good potential one. And down the track a bit, I'm really thinking we may look at offering that as a standard package for every new franchisee, because the ones who've done it seem to benefit enormously.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful system. I did this training at my church as a volunteer thing, and they took you through a course and they showed you how to do it.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited. Thank you for approving it.
There's good videos with Sue and James online too if you check them out. I'm sorry Sue will give them to you, but they're definitely good worth watching as well. And John, who you met today, John went through the program recently and did a nice testimonial for him and things like that too, so he's a big rap for it as well. Cool. You got a question for Jim, guys? Feel free to come up and ask him. Anything you like, we've got plenty of time. Yep, go for it. Just come up, ask him anything you like. It's all for you. I've got a few online coming through, which is great too.
Hi Jim, Joe from Car Detailing. I know you are a Christian. I'm Christian too. I'm just wondering what kind of value did you put into the Jim's group? Yeah.
Christian values in Jim's group.
Yeah. Do you have any or yeah?
It's a very fundamentally Christian point of view. Having said that, I have a lot of respect for other faiths too. We had a family discussion last night, and my son was asking me, what would I think if I became a Muslim? And I said, well, I'd rather you were a Christian, personally, but I'd rather you were a Muslim than an atheist, put it that way. But a lot rather. And we've got some wonderful people, Muslims, in Jim's group. So having said that, I am Christian, that's my ideology, that's my belief system, that's my walk with God. If you think about what I said this morning about we exist to serve franchisees, that is really directly from the Gospels, and particularly if you think of John's Gospel, Jesus washing his disciples' feet. If you looked at a passage that encapsulates what Jim's is about, it's from that particular passage, because in those days, washing somebody's feet was a very dirty, degraded job, typically something done by slaves, by the most menial members of society. Menial in a way beyond what anybody could imagine, the way people were treated. Occasionally, a very revered rabbi, the disciples might wash his feet. That was unusual, but it was done. What Jesus did by washing his disciples' feet was very, very radical. And the idea that somebody who's the leader, somebody who's the Son of God, somebody who's a revered rabbi should wash his disciples' feet was extraordinary. And that's how we see leadership in gyms. We serve. We serve franchisees. We serve franchisors. Franchisees serve you. That is the belief system behind the whole thing. And we don't hold ourselves out in authority. A franchisor is somebody who guides, who coaches, who helps, listens, but serves those we work for. So it's a very fundamentally Christian way of looking at things, and I don't believe gyms will be anything like what it is if it wasn't for that particular focus. And I also strongly believe in what Jesus said about wealth. He said it's harder for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven than a camel to go through the eye of a needle, which is obviously pretty extreme, but it does express the fact that wealth is potentially very damaging, very corrupting. And I absolutely believe in that. I love the gospel. I love a letter of James. It's one of my favourite books in the Bible. And it talks a lot about the same, because James was Jesus' brother, and his ideas are very similar to what Jesus taught. So that's fundamental Christianity in the way we think about things.
Thank you very much.
We have a lot of Christians in Jim's group too. I might say it tends to attract people with that kind of belief system. It's quite striking. Every training, there's always one or more people are going to come up to me and say, "Hey, and they can see the resonance." You are Christian, I presume. Are you?
Yeah.
What church do you attend?
Baptist Church.
Baptist?
Baptist, yeah, in Templestone.
Yeah, I go to Crossway Baptist in East Burwood.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Go on you. God bless you, brother.
Thank you.
There you go. Good question.
Yeah.
Cool. Great question. Got a question for Jim, guys. Feel free to come up and ask him anything you like. Got one real quickly in line from Manoj just gone. I want to know about Jim's real estate. Please tell us more about Jim's real estate.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Didn't work. Not going anymore. Yeah.
No, it was. It's painful to have a division fail. It really is. I think in retrospect it was something we should never have done because it's too far away from the service industry. Real estate is about selling houses, getting listings and stuff. It's a different kind of business. We shouldn't have done it in the first place. We should have known that it was the wrong thing to do. It never got very big. I think we had no more than a couple of franchisees, but
That's true, yeah.
It just just didn't work for us. Jim's property maintenance, possibly, because that's an ongoing regular service thing.
There you go. Got a question for Jim, guys? Feel free to come and ask. We've got a bit of time for it. Anyone got anything at all for Jim? No, have a think while I get some more online. One from Wayne Demos. Now, we always read everything out on Ask Jim, positive or negative. So this is a negative one, all right? So I'm just warning you here. So Wayne Demos is gone. You might be dealing with one already. Do you think it's morally correct to sell a mowing franchise that only has 2.5 leads on average per week and expect it to survive? Or are you comfortable sleeping at night knowing that you have sold a franchise in a non-performing area because gyms don't have enough business? That's from Wayne. I don't know which area he's in, but I presume he's in mowing.
Well, 2.5 leads a week is astonishingly little for a division who's just starting. But having said that, it's not impossible to make it work. What you've got to do is pay for work guarantee. And I would say that to anybody, most franchisees in gyms tend to have enough work even from the beginning. I know that just based on my 1 month letters, but sometimes they don't. And that's why when I write a 1 month letter, one thing I say to them, are you doing pay for work guarantee? It's actually in the letter, and then I'll respond to that. If you do it, it will work. Even 2.5 leads a week is okay if you go out there and you do your freebies, because you make it to have your $1,500 a week or $2,000. You go out there and you say, I've got 40 hours a week I'm prepared to work in. If I'm not actually doing jobs, then I'm out there doing freebies. I'm out there promoting myself, doing something. And if you do that, it will work and succeed. And then when spring comes, you'll make money. And in fact, you'll be all the better in spring because you're so used to getting work. We often find franchisees who start at the wrong time of the year tend to make more money overall because they're used to upselling, they're used to trying hard. So no, I do sleep very well. And people who start well, who do the right attitude from the start, even if work is not as plentiful as it should be, can still do very well. Having said that, there are situations where a franchisee will approach me about not getting enough work, and I will give a big kick up the backside to the franchisor and say, get some more advertising out for this guy. That is not an uncommon email that I send, which doesn't take away from the franchisee's responsibility. But we do a very good job. We lose, well, between 90 and 95% of people who start these kind of businesses as independents fail. With us, first year, 12%, and a lot of those not failures. We do very, very well at getting people going, even when the work isn't plentiful, because we do training, we do pay for work guarantee, we do coaching, we do all this stuff, and we can get people to fail. I don't know anybody ever in gyms, in any of our current division, who has failed, who did pay for work guarantee consistently. I know plenty who don't, who sit back and say, no, this is not the deal. The deal is you give me all the leads I want and I don't have to do anything. And I don't know how they think that, because I make it really clear in training that there is responsibility. It's not. Remember that cahoots today? When, you know, what's the responsibility of franchisor? To guarantee me a income. No, wrong answer. Wrong answer. We're not guaranteeing income. Pay for work guarantee means you go and do promotional work, and then we'll pay for that. And that works. And it's actually surprising. People who start off doing it consistently actually end up, their income builds very quickly once they do it. And there's so many different ways to do it too. You can go to your friends, your neighbours, your relatives, friends of friends, okay? Franchisees from other divisions, often a great place to go. You
Post
can go
local group, post on the Facebook.
Local Facebook groups, yeah. You can offer it. It doesn't have to be a potential client. You go on a local Facebook group, and there's videos on how to do all this, and you show them. You go out and offer it, and there's this old lady pensioner and stuff who can't afford it, and you go in and you clean her house beautifully, or you mow her lawns, or whatever, handyman, or whatever you're doing. You go and do that, and then you post a picture on the Facebook group about what you've done, and here's this smiling lady with her beautiful garden or whatever you've done for her. That's so golden.
Give you an example. Mark Beggs, who just left us, and I think he just medical issues, but he bought his business for $30K, and I think it was with us for a couple of years, and that's what he did to get his business going at the start. It was flat out, and he ended up selling his business for $90K after I think 18 months or 2 years. Yeah. That's how good his business was from just doing a lot of those activities.
And he didn't have a lot of work coming through?
Not at the start, no. It was very competitive in that area. Yeah.
A lot of what we offer is not just so much, work is a big part of what we do, But a lot of what we do is coaching on how to promote yourself, and also paying you to say, okay, you might not think going to a BNI meeting, for example, is something that you want to do, but if we're going to pay you to go there, so you know that you can make yourself $100 or whatever to go into that meeting, and then you go there and you pick up a couple of jobs as well, and you think, wow, this stuff works. As compared with sitting at home and thinking, no, I've just got to, this is not working for me, I'm not getting all the leads I want. It's coaching. I had a call today from a franchisee who was contacted actually yesterday, and his wife contacted me today. And this is a dog wash franchise. He's been going for nearly a year, and is trying to live off their the jobs that are coming in. There's not enough leads coming in. Now, the biggest issue with that is that they're not getting repeat customers. So I've been in contact with him. Also, I've spoken to his wife now, and I said the biggest problem he's got to ask about regularity, about how often do you have your dog washed. He says he's not very good at it. I said you've got to do it.
Yeah.
You've got to approach clients, you've got to go back to them. So it's not just a matter of providing leads, because this guy hasn't got enough leads. He really is, because he's trying to live off leads from the office. But he shouldn't need to, because he's a good operator. He's actually got very good customers. He's got about a 4.7 rating. So it's quite a good operator, but he's not rebooking. So a large part of what we offer there is not so much saying, hey, here's 100 leads a week so you don't have to do anything. Here's what we can offer you, but we can coach you and help you to do the things you're not doing. Because after 9 months of business or whatever it was, you should have regular clients. And it spoke to me volumes that he didn't.
Yeah. Nathan's gone here as well online. He's gone, love how Jim makes contact after the first month. Very proud to receive that. So Nathan Giacotto, he's just saying because of the first month email, which everyone here is going to get as well. So hopefully everyone responds to that too as well.
I want you all to respond.
Anyone got another question for Jim, guys? We've got a little bit of time for some more. Anyone thought of anything? No? You guys at the back, you thought of anything? No? I'll put you on the spot there. Yeah, there we go. That generally gets someone up. Thanks for doing that.
I spoke to you at dinner time. You did say you had some questions for me.
Oh,
was it? All right.
You can ask both of them.
You spoke this morning about after you mowed people's lawns, you love the wow.
Yes.
Where do you get that now? Where's your wow?
Our franchisees saying they're successful. That's my biggest wow now. It's bigger than a lawn mowing. If you write back to me after 1 month and you say you're going really well and you're happy and it's the best thing you ever did, that makes my day. It really does. That's my wow.
Yeah.
That's the greatest thing. And let me tell you too, the thing that most upsets me is when I see franchisees doing poorly. You know, I remember there was one particular day late last year when I discovered I had a $1 million unexpected tax bill. Okay, you can imagine that didn't make me feel great, but on the same day I got feedback from a franchisee whose business wasn't going well. Let me tell you, that upset me a lot more than the tax bill. So, yeah.
Since you put me on the spot, right, what's the best quality that you see in Jim?
The best quality? He listens to everyone, no matter what your station is in life. This is a multi, entrepreneur, massive icon, and he'll listen to anyone here with an idea and he'll take it seriously if you've got a good idea and listen to you and give the time of day. Not a lot of people do that. A lot of people of his wealth and status have egos and who are you to talk to me? I'm multimillionaire, what are you? No, it's the complete opposite. I think that's why Jim's has grown so big, because a lot of the stuff that's built in the system is from franchisees' ideas here. So he's a very humble man too as well. And he's personally given me a lot of opportunity over the years, so that's been the great thing as well. I wouldn't have been where I am at all with this man, so he's helped me in a lot of areas.
I spotted his talent. He started in a very humble entry-level position, a minimum wage, not even permanent.
No.
And he did a couple of jobs, and I got to know him, and he had ideas, and now he's one of my most valued top managers, and he's only early 30s, and I was able to speak at his wedding, which
I appreciate it. No, Jim's been great to me, so he listens to everyone. So the great thing about it is if you have an idea 2 weeks in, it's not about, you've only, stay for another 2 years or whatever, but he'll take it seriously if it's something that we're going to implement, and we implement it. So I think that's the great thing about it, listening and taking ideas from everyone and being really humble and all the time.
The nicest compliment anybody ever paid me, I've got a friend who's in church, and he said, Jim, you are nothing like other rich people that I know. And I thought that was very good.
He doesn't like very good compliments. We do a lot of the Q&A stuff with Jim on TikTok, which you can see all the time. He doesn't like me reading the compliment one to him. It's always the nasty stuff and the negative stuff he wants me to respond to.
But that was a really, really nice comment, and I thought that's exactly how it should come across.
There you go.
That's good.
Thanks for that question. And that was the first time for the wow factor. We never had that one before. That was a very good question. Go for it. Come on.
I love that wow. Yes, I think.
We never had that one before, so it was a good one.
Hello, Jim. My name is B, and I'm from the Jim's Cleaning division. Again, I was also blown away by how you talk earlier, how you value customer service, how feedbacks are important. Now my question is, how do you, when you were starting, how did you handle your time management? Like for me personally, I'm studying, I'm a mom, I still do have a job, and now I'm planning to start a business. So what would be your advice for people like me for time management?
What I say might sound odd, but I don't divide my time into work and not work. I divide my time into worthwhile and not worthwhile. And one thing I absolutely believe in, it's no other success can compensate for value in the home. In other words, no matter how much money you make, if you neglect your responsibility as a mother or a father or a wife or a husband, you are failing at some level. I just don't think making money is important enough. Now, we can help people to make a good living, but also have time for their family. That, to me, is ideal. So, I have a mission. I have missions in life, and as in my view, given by God, and that is what my life is for. If I worry about dying, for example, if I was in an accident, I don't worry about personally dying. I worry about my mission, how it's going to continue, what would happen. That's just the way I think about things. Okay? So you do what you need to do. And I don't always think more work is what you need to do. Sometimes it's just need to be, you know. I really hope you would have time to be. How many children have you got?
Pardon?
How many children have you got?
One. He's
One.
still little. Yeah.
Little.
6.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. There's nothing more important than you do in your whole life than that kid.
Yeah.
And that's a priority. That's a top priority. Nothing justifies failing as a mother, does it? And I'm sure you wouldn't. So proper sense of proportion and of values. Money's not the number one thing. You need to support your family, but most of all, your family is and your purpose in life is what matters. But I don't think that quite answers your question, but that's how I see it.
Yeah. Like just your personal opinion. Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
good question.
Good
Thank
question.
you for that. Nicholas James online. Jim's gone for you one specific religious one, actually. Has Jim looked into the hidden Bible story of the Book of Enoch? What did he think? Got no idea what he's talking about, but
No.
You don't?
It sounds like the Apocrypha.
okay, no idea what that is.
No.
We'll leave it. We'll go. We had another one, so I'll read this one out here. He goes, mine you might be able to do. Sorry, Nicholas, I don't know that one. Question for Jim. I know he hates taking holidays, but if a franchisee would say 6 months into business because they have done well so financially, they'd like to go overseas for a month, how badly will that affect their business? Could Jim's group take over the clients for a month whilst travelling? Thanks.
Well, not so much Jim's group, but fellow franchisees
Yeah.
can, is more to the point. And generally speaking, if you're going to take a holiday, you take it in the slack time of the year. You don't want to take a holiday in spring for mowing, for example, or you're really going to be messed up. But if you take it during the winter, for example, you can stretch your clients a bit, and those that need to be done, you just get a fellow franchisee to look after them. So it's more based on personal contacts than anything else.
Yeah, it's very common. A lot of the franchisees, when we do the interviews, they say that's one of the benefits for them anyway. They can take that month off or 3 weeks off
Yes.
in the middle of the year if they can. Their clients get looked after and they're not going to lose anyone and come back to it.
Yeah. Oh, look, I'm not a fan of holidays. I find it extremely difficult. To me, the toughest time of the year is Christmas and New Year when the office closes down. And I actually have a practice of going down to the beach with my extended family, which is quite a lot now. I've got 10 kids and 6 grandchildren so far, so it's quite an event. So I can keep myself busy, but I tell you what, after about a week I go stir crazy. It's just really difficult for me not to do work.
Every day, every single no days off.
I try to keep the Sabbath. I try not to work on a Sunday, but honestly speaking, I'm not good at it.
Got any more questions for Jim's guy? We've probably got time for a couple more. You go for it. Ask him anything you like.
Last question. Do you still loan your own cut your own, mow your own lawn?
I do it on my farm.
Oh yeah.
Actually, would you want to guess what kind of mower I use? What brand? What type? No. 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 Push one, mechanical. Yeah. Like my first lawn, I used to mow from my father. We had this mower that you actually push it, and then the blades turn around with a mechanical engine, which I tell you was difficult. I actually enjoy that kind of thing. It's a very physical, no machinery, just me. I've got this area around my house which I keep cut, which is fun. I love doing something physical, actually. It's a funny thing. I was a gardener for so long, but actually at the weekend, you know what I was doing? I was digging in my garden, and I've got this huge potato patch, and I've got another one that I'm trying to grow other kinds of vegetables and things in too. I just go out there and I get filthy, dirty, it was cold and everything else, and I was just love getting out and gardening. Well, why not? Look, one of the great things, one of the reasons that I did okay is because I took a job which was mowing lawns and gardening, which I actually fundamentally enjoy. I love being outside. I love being in contact with nature. To me, it's a fun thing to do. So it was actually quite easy to make it into a business, because when I was studying, it was a part-time job that I was doing. It was just something that got me outside and working physically and stuff, and I liked it. And I made good money, much better than most student jobs. So that's kind of where it started. If you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life, do you?
Guys, we've got probably time for one more question, so who wants to finish it off with one more question for Jim tonight? Anyone who hasn't asked him one? What about you there in the middle of the jacket, the car detailing? Anything at all?
I was actually going to ask that exact same question.
Oh, okay. All right.
Pip at the post.
Thank you.
When you asked that question, it's gone. I can't ask any more. Hi, I'm Chris, Jim. Again, as everybody has said, the experience that I've had has been fantastic. It's sort of life-changing, I think, is the way to go. Going from corporate lives and dealing with big companies, etc., now to take the opportunity to say, no, this is going to be me, and I'm going to make the choice and changes. So yeah, it's been great. And probably one question that I'm trying to rack my brain for is when you go away on a holiday, or not that you like holidays, where do you go? Where do you find escape?
My farm.
Yeah?
It's about half an hour's drive from here. I go up there, I walk, I dig my potatoes. That to me is a release. I hate tourism. I hate travel. I hate planes. My wife despairs of me because she likes traveling. She goes, I hate it. I just want to be somewhere familiar. I love my farm. I'm very physical. I don't have, it's a funny thing, you go up to the farm, my wife's a wonderful cook, and so I can take things out of the garden like potatoes and pumpkins and silver beet and other stuff that I grow. I haven't got green thumbs, I don't grow a lot, but I do. And then she can make that, so I have a meal which we eat together, which is made from produce from the farm that I've actually personally dug. To me, that is better than staying in some luxury resort or going to some far-flung place. I'm a very simple man. She said like a peasant. I get filthy, absolutely filthy from head to toe. I'll go out in the rain and get completely muddy and I just love it. I really do enjoy that sort of stuff. To me, that's better than... You'd take me to Crown Casino and I'd be bored out of my mind, but put me on my farm digging potatoes, that's paradise.
Fantastic. That's great. Thanks very much.
Thanks for that
Thanks
question.
all.
Cool. Jim, what we're going to do, guys, now Jim will select his 3 favourite questions, but everyone gets a prize as well. So after we finish this, come up and you can take the rest of it, whoever asked the question. So Jim, what were the 3 that stood out to you for the first choice?
Well, I love the question about what gives me a wow too. That's never been asked.
Gentleman at the back.
That was
a really good one. Come up and take anything you like. You get first pick.
Great question.
What was the second one there, Jim?
Well, there's so many actually.
There was.
Look, it wasn't really a question, but I loved the statement about Jim's war crimes that you came up with.
Jim. Right, come up and grab anything you like. Come up, you take anything you like, you get first choice. So you can take monopolies, you can...
Oh, that's a great story that you actually saw it on a competitor's trailer.
Yeah.
And
That's what made me go, well, it's Jim's for me because... Yeah.
There you go. You can take anything you like. What was the last one there, Jim? You got?
The question about epigenetics was good too.
Epigenetics?
That was a nice topic. Who
Where was that? The gentleman at the front here. Cool. Yep. Now everyone who asked the question, you can come up and get a pick as well as your prize as well.
Plenty of
take anything you like as well.
there.
Not if epigenetics not here. We only always have one. Yeah, he's got one. Yeah. We've only got one there. We normally always bring one down. What's a copy of the your epigenetics book?
Sure.
So we'll hook it
I've
up
got
tomorrow.
plenty left actually. You might as well pass them out.
All right, we'll hook it up tomorrow. If you come to the national
Come
office,
to the
we'll-
national
yeah.
office and we'll grab one from there.
No worries. Guys, if you ask the question as well of Jim, please feel free to come up. We've got all this loot to give away, so you can grab it as well. Now, guys, as well, Charles, if you're going to end the stream, we've got a light here too, so if you want to have a